なんだか楽しそうだからとついてきたけれど、今回の一件ただならぬ陰謀につながっているようだ。まあとりあえず気の済むまでやらせておこう。
Farming Life in Another World, episode number 7, my friends. And I have had such a complex, not history, but I've had such a complex journey with season number 2. And if you guys have been around for several of my videos, if you haven't, go check back the last 6 videos I've done. But the reason I've been really harsh on this show is I adore season number 1. Like, it's one of my favorite slow life isekai animes of all time. It's right there with like Slime Diaries, okay? It's like one of my favorite. It's literally a guilty pleasure. I've rewatched it so many times, and even before this season started, I rewatched it again. And a lot of the criticism that I have of season number 2 is because I had such a passion for the show, and I was like, let me get more of that, you know? But the decisions that they've made, the writing choices that they've done, and now in episode 7, the reuse of like storylines is just, I don't know. Like, this is definitely gonna be one that I go back and read, because everybody who you guys have shared in the comment section have just said like, hey, the adaptation really isn't following the actual story, and the real story is so much better than what we're seeing adapted. So for all of my source material aficionados, right? Everybody who has read through the light novel, the question that I have for you this episode is 𝐜𝐴BIT, right? So 𝐜𝐴BIT is the leader of the angels, right? She's the princess and the next head of the angels. She came in, and basically when she came in, she lost. So she lost to Hiraku, right? Like, she lost, and based on her losing, right? Because she got caught up as the angels and stuff. Based on her losing, the way I understood it was that Hiraku gained, Machio Hiraku, whatever you want to call him, Hiraku gained her as a wife. Now, the show didn't explicitly say this, but that was my understanding, was that he gained 𝐜𝐴BIT as a wife. I even said it in my reviews, like, oh, +1 to the wife, you know, to the wife column, another wife that has been added. But this episode seems to have backtracked on their own writing. So the way that I understand the way that they're adapting this is they have their own script and they're following their own theme. But it's contradictory to what's happened, because again, what happened is she came in, she challenged him, she lost, and Hiraku gained her as a wife. Again, it didn't explicitly say this because they refused to have Hiraku claim anybody outside of Lucy for whatever reason. But anybody with 2 brain cells can understand she was added to the wife column. This episode, though, kind of contradicted that, because now she's talking about like, oh, I need to find a husband, and, you know, I need to find somebody, and you know, the mayor is already taken, and maybe I'll claim his son. And then they have some weird banter about him claiming Alfred. Alfred's his son name? Yeah. About her claiming Alfred and making sure that she sets up his security so that way, you know, he's set up for her future, whatever. Weird talks. Weird. I don't know who in the screenwriting was like, she'll protect her future husband, baby. Like, I don't know if that actually happened. So my question for all the source material people, did that happen in the source material? Please let me know in the comment section, because my guess would be that it didn't. Again, because my understanding was that she was already like, that's Hiraku's another woman, right? That's his woman, essentially, on top of all the others. So I don't know. It's just very weird dialogue choices that they have. Now, for the rest of the episode, they, you know, Flora and Ratsumoon, or whatever you call her, Lasty, Rusty, whatever you call her, they go in and they have found another dungeon. The dungeon ends up being a dungeon of giant people, and they're basically like just like big mole rats, essentially. So after that, you know, they come in, and even the mayor is like, oh, they kind of look like people dressed up, essentially. But they meet the giants. They went in and they found a bunch of venomous snakes. Because they went in there, they took down the snakes. They disrupted the way that the giants have been, you know, the giant mole rats, essentially, the way that they have been living. So they go in to go and fix everything, and they also discover like, oh, that there's a hot spring here essentially. So that's kind of the mayor's motivation, is there's a hot spring. So he goes in, they split into different teams, and in some of the teams we have the progenitor, and then we have Flora, and we have Rotzi, and they go in and they do a whole another thing, and then the mayor, and I think the mayor and Flora and Tia, they go in and they focus in on the hot spring stuff. So he goes in, he finds some really cool generative like rocks and stuff that basically generate a lot of heat, and they begin creating a hot spring area over here in this section. Rotzi and them, they get in trouble, and then at the end of the episode, we get to where what's her name? The ogre girl, and is it Furum? No, Hakurin. The ogre girl, Anne, and then Hakurin are going in, and they're fighting a like undead like leader, and they're like whooping its ass at the end of the episode, which I thought was really, really funny. And the progenitor is like, this is fun stuff, essentially. We also get to see, again, those conversations that I talked about at the beginning of the episode with 𝐜𝐴BIT, and we get to see Machio basically enjoying his hot springs and stuff. Now, where I talk about reuse of ideas is if you look back in season number 1, we've already gone through the excitement of hot baths and a bath area and warm water, and he already has his big extravagant bath area set up. So although yes, this is like a hot spring area and slightly different, and different hot springs can do different things for the skin and the body, and that's kind of how it is, right? That's why Japan has such a big hot springs tourism attraction, is because they have different hot springs that do different things. So I don't knock him for being excited, but it is kind of a reuse of ideas. It's like, oh, well, we already got that bath stuff, and he basically, we're reusing now that idea, but for the hot springs. So my excitement of there being something new again is kind of waning, because like, oh, we got this already. But the difference is that they discovered the hot stones, and now we have these open air baths. The thing that it didn't do was specifically say what the hot springs are beneficial for, at least these specific ones. Now, they did build a hot stone room, like a sauna room, and that's good for the skin. They talked about that a little bit. And then we saw, obviously, the mayor and them enjoying their open air bath and stuff, but they didn't really go into those kind of details. There was also a little bit of fan service between like Lucy and her sister and Rotzi or Lasty, and there's a little bit of fan service there. So, if that's a little pick-me-up for you, then that definitely is pretty good. Where I end on this episode is, for me, I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10. I don't think it deserves... I talked to one of you guys in the comment section of like, how's my scale? And my scale is 5 is okay, 6 is fine, 7 is good, okay? 8 is great, and then it goes up from there. So 7 would mean that this was a good episode. I don't have that. I think it was a fine episode. I think it was totally serviceable. It was another episode of Farming Life, and that's my feeling. So this was a 6 out of 10 episode for me. What I want from the show is just not giving me this season, and we're already 7 episodes in, so I am not going to hold my breath anymore, right? I don't think I'm going to see multiple babies. I don't think I'm going to see a more of an engagement in different relationships. I don't think we're going to get to see the mayor showing some love to his wife/wives. I don't think that we're gonna get any more like big political things with him, having like some kind of like political ties to another nation, or him growing out that kind of way. I just feel like the show has all these potential things with, working with different nations and partnering and trade and, wives and children, and him being a father, and it's missing out on all these core points. And it's just like, instead it just goes like, oh, here's the next thing. Oh, now he wants to cook curry. Now he wants to cook sushi. Now he has a hot spring. Now he wants a bath. It's just all these like amenities. I don't know. I'll see you guys next week. Let me know how you guys feel.